Elias, the perpetually weary night manager of the Starlight Motel, believed he'd seen it all. His shifts were a monotonous blur of flickering neon and stale coffee. But then, the ancient computer screen registered an impossible guest, a prepaid reservation for room 13. That room had been sealed for a decade. The name on the booking? A Phantom. Elias scoffed, yet a cold dread coiled in his gut. The next few hours were a slow torment. Elias found himself constantly glancing towards the hallway leading to room 13. He saw shadows flit across the wall, not just his own, but fleeting, elongated shapes that moved with a peculiar grace. He dismissed them as exhaustion-induced hallucinations. But then, the music started. Faint at first, almost imperceptible, a delicate tinkling melody that reminded him of a child's lullaby. It seemed to drift from the direction of room 13, weaving itself into the fabric of the motel's creaking silence. He tried to pinpoint the source, walking stealthily down the hall, his ear pressed against the wooden doors, but it faded as he got closer, only to resume its gentle tune once he retreated. Just before dawn, Mrs. Gable arrived, her stout frame bustling through the lobby, smelling of strong coffee and pine cleaner. Mrs. Gable had been cleaning rooms at the Starlight since Elias was in high school. She was a woman who'd seen everything and believed in plenty more. "Mornin', Elias," she chirped, pulling on her rubber gloves. "Cold in here tonight, eh? You got that AC cranked?" Elias grunted. "It's off. Room 13 got a phantom reservation. Went in to prep it. Found it freezing." Mrs. Gable paused, her hands still. Her eyes, usually sparkling with gossip, clouded over. "Room 13? That room's been empty for a reason, dear. Bad energy in there. Always has been. Since the fire." She lowered her voice. "Sometimes when I'm sweeping the hall, I feel a little chill around that door. And once, just last week, I could swear I saw the curtain in there move, though it was drawn tight and the windows sealed shut." Elias scoffed, trying to sound dismissive. "Just old drafts, Mrs. Gable. Old building, you know." She shook her head, a knowing look on her face. "Not just drafts, dear. And I could have sworn I smelled lavender yesterday, too. That sweet, old-fashioned kind. Not a scent we use here." She paused, then added in a hushed tone, "Some things, Elias, they don't ever check out." Her words burrowed into Elias's mind, festering throughout the day. He tried to rationalize it all. Mrs. Gable's superstitions, his own tiredness, a strange atmospheric phenomenon. But the persistent chill in the lobby, the memory of the phone call, and the lingering sweet scent of lavender refused to be ignored. He even noticed small, unexplainable things. His favorite pen, which had been on the counter, inexplicably appeared on the empty guest registration book, several feet away. The sense of an unseen presence, a playful, yet deeply unsettling inhabitant, was growing. That night, Elias couldn't shake the feeling. He tried to watch TV, but the faint music box melody seemed to hum beneath the dialogue. He tried to read, but his eyes kept darting to room 13. The frustration, the fear, and a strange morbid curiosity finally boiled over. He grabbed the master key. He wasn't going to just check on the room. He was going to confront it. He would find the source of the music, the cold, the smells. He would prove himself right, that there was a logical explanation, and banish this unsettling feeling once and for all. He walked down the hall, each step echoing in the oppressive silence. The cold was overwhelming now, a physical pressure. As he reached room 13, he noticed the door was no longer just ajar, but wide open, revealing a square of impenetrable darkness within. The music box melody was clearer than ever, a fragile, repetitive tune that tugged at something deep inside him. He pushed the door fully open, stepping inside. The room was transformed. It wasn't just clean. It was meticulously tidy, almost inviting. The dust was gone, replaced by an unsettling, pristine quality. The bed was perfectly made, the pillows fluffed, and on the old chipped nightstand, in the soft glow of the moonlight filtering through the window, sat the source of the music, a small, intricately carved wooden music box. A tiny porcelain ballerina pirouetted gracefully within its glass casing, forever caught in her silent dance. Elias's eyes were drawn to something else on the nightstand, a faded sepia-toned photograph tucked beneath the music box. He picked it up, his fingers trembling slightly. It was a picture of a little girl, no older than 5 or 6, with large, soulful eyes and a shy smile. In her small hands, she clutched a music box, identical to the one before him. On the back, in elegant, faded cursive, was written a single poignant word: Annalise. Just as his mind began to piece together the implications, the music box shuddered to a halt. The tiny ballerina stopped mid-spin. Simultaneously, the single overhead light flickered erratically, then plunged the room into absolute darkness. Elias gasped, a cold knot forming in his stomach. The air turned icy, so cold he could see his breath fogging. A distinct, bone-chilling whisper coiled around his ear, clear and precise, echoing in the sudden silence. "You're in my room." Elias stumbled backward, tripping over his own feet. He felt an icy touch on his shoulder, not a push, but a lingering, frozen presence. True terror, raw and primal, seized him. He fumbled frantically for the small flashlight on his keyring, his fingers clumsy with fear. When the beam finally cut through the blackness, it illuminated the room. And then he saw her. Standing by the window, bathed in the faint moonlight, was a translucent, shimmering figure. It was the little girl from the photograph, Annalise. Her form was ethereal, shimmering like heat haze over a desert road, but unmistakably a child. Her eyes, empty and unseeing, were fixed on him. She was not menacing, not malevolent. She was utterly, heartbreakingly lost. Elias didn't run. His fear, sharp and paralyzing moments before, gave way to a profound sense of sadness. This wasn't a demon. It was a child, trapped and alone. He lowered the flashlight, its beam trembling slightly. "What do you want, Annalise?" he asked, his voice hoarse but steady. Annalise's spectral form turned fully towards him. She didn't speak, but her translucent hand, impossibly delicate, lifted and pointed, not to him, but to the music box on the nightstand. The meaning was clear. Elias felt an unburdening, a strange sense of clarity. She wasn't here to harm. She was here to be found. He carefully picked up the music box, its wooden casing feeling strangely warm against his cold hand. He walked slowly out of room 13, not daring to look back, and made his way to the lobby. He knew what he had to do. Hours passed. Elias, fueled by stale coffee and a desperate need for answers, began to search. He pulled out dusty boxes of old motel records, yellowed guest registries from decades past. He fired up his old, slow desktop and began searching online archives of local newspapers. The name Annalise Reed from the back of the photo. He found it. The headline, dated July 12, 1975, screamed, "Tragic fire claims young girl at Starlight Motel." The article detailed the horrific blaze that engulfed room 13, tragically claiming the life of 5-year-old Annalise Reed, who was sleeping while her parents were downstairs. The fire had been swift, intense. Among the few personal items mentioned as lost and never recovered was a small hand-carved music box, a cherished family heirloom. Elias sat back, the newspaper image blurry with unshed tears. The phantom guest, the cold, the lavender, the music box. It all made a dreadful, heartbreaking sense. Annalise wasn't haunting room 13 out of malice. She was tied to it, searching for the one thing that connected her to her family, to her brief, innocent life. Just then, Mrs. Gable returned for her afternoon shift, a small bag of groceries in her hand. She took one look at Elias's face, pale and etched with sleeplessness, and her jovial mood evaporated. "Elias, what's happened, dear?" He slowly recounted everything, from the strange reservation to the terrifying encounter, the music box, and finally, the newspaper article. Mrs. Gable listened, her eyes widening, then softening with understanding. "Oh, bless her heart," she murmured, tears welling in her own eyes. "I always felt something in that room, a sadness. My grandmother used to tell stories about restless spirits, ones that couldn't move on without something precious they lost. Her music box." She trailed off, shaking her head. She just wanted her music box, Elias. The air in room 13 was still cold, but now it felt different, expectant. Elias stood in the center of the room, the music box held carefully in his hands. He wasn't afraid anymore. He felt a profound sense of purpose. He walked to the nightstand and gently placed the music box back down. With a steady hand, he wound the tiny key. The first notes of the lullaby drifted through the room, clear and pure, filling the space with a gentle, soothing melody. As the music began to play, a faint shimmer appeared near the window, coalescing into the translucent figure of Annalise. This time, she wasn't sad. Her ethereal form seemed brighter, less burdened. She turned her head, her empty eyes fixed on the music box. Then slowly, deliberately, she looked at Elias. A faint, ethereal smile, full of gratitude and relief, touched her lips. As the music played on, she took a tiny, graceful bow, a small curtsy of farewell. She waved a delicate, translucent hand at him, a final, poignant goodbye. As the last notes of the lullaby faded into silence, Annalise's form began to dissolve, shimmering like mist in the morning sun. Her outline softened, becoming less defined, until finally, she was gone, leaving nothing but the lingering sweet scent of lavender and a profound sense of peace. The coldness in the room dissipated, replaced by a comfortable stillness. Room 13 felt empty now, truly empty. For the first time in 50 years, Elias stood there for a long moment, the quiet hum of the motel's old refrigerator the only sound. He was no longer the cynical, weary night manager. He was a man who had glimpsed beyond the veil, who had offered solace to a lost soul. He carefully locked room 13, a permanent closure this time, not a temporary one. He hung a fresh, handwritten sign on the door. Room 13, permanently closed for reasons of peace. As dawn broke, painting the eastern sky in hues of rose and gold, Elias walked outside. The neon sign still flickered its broken promise, but it didn't seem so desolate anymore. He inhaled the cool morning air, fresh and clean, devoid of the scent of lavender or the chill of a lingering past. For the first time in a very long time, Elias looked forward to a new day. The Starlight Motel had finally given one of its guests a proper checkout, and for Elias, a new chapter had just begun.